I'll have to get back to you again, I'm sorry, Mrs. Poplin.
What do we have here, Charmian?
Well, that's a little instrument that was made about the turn of last century, so it would be about Olive's age, actually. It would have been made in 1889 or something like that.
Well, she's...
1899?
1899?
I'm never very good with figures.
Yeah, that's Olive. And what's the story?
Well, it's a three-quarter instrument for a child, and it's what we call a German trade instrument. The people in Mittenwald in Germany, then the whole sort of village, the whole city was turned to making violins, and it was like one colossal factory. And they were making instruments that everybody could afford. You know, they were trying to make the violin more accessible to the human race, and they did a very good job in doing it. They certainly produced instruments cheaply, and we see an awful lot of them around still. This is quite interesting because it's got the double purfling, which is a copy of one of the early Italian makers, a Genie. So that's round about Olive's age.
Now, I believe you have coincidentally...
Yes.
What have you got coincidentally?
Well, you know, these coincidences are such fascinating things in your life, aren't they? Well, A.E Smith, Arthur Edward Smith, our great Australian violin maker, died some years ago, and we every now and then get one of his instruments in the shop, like sort of once every 2 years or something like that, and they usually sell fairly quickly. But just recently, we have 4 in the shop now, and we just sold one, so we had 5 Smiths in the shop, which is almost an impossible coincidence. Come over here and I'll just show them to you. We have this one, which is a very early one. This one, I think. This one is from 1912, and it's got a little ornamentation on the back.
What would have been there? Some sort of...
I think he
badge, or perhaps?
Probably copying something for somebody. You know, all the violin makers, people will bring in their instruments and say, here, copy this. And I think we, probably this is a copy of somebody's instrument that did have some little ornamental thing on the back like that.
Fascinating.
Isn't it? And...
all of these are Smiths?
All these 4 are Smiths.
And would you class him as the best Australian violin maker?
Well, he's certainly the most famous one, and he was also the hub around which the entire number of luthiers have really come from Australia, sort of rotated. He was the teacher. His shop was the place where everybody went to learn, and so many of our very, very top Aussie makers, Harry Vatiliotis, Philip Burgess, and many of the others, all were in and around his shop.
Which you have in the case over here. I notice you've got a case of Australian violin makers.
Yes, we have.
So that your dream of selling Australian violins has turned out to be true.
That's right. Yes, we've got
a lot of
lovely ones there.
You didn't know if you could do it, did you?
Oh, yes.
No, but you had some doubts because everybody goes for the Italian instruments.
That's true, yes. I think the Australian instruments have come into their own now. There's Smith, and there's also John Johnston. There's one of his nice instruments here. And
that looks like a Harry there.
It could be, yes.
Okay, and I think over here you said you've got probably the treasure of the shop, huh?
Well, it's my personal treasure, this one, Mike. Yeah. This is the 1724 Goffriller instrument.
1724?
1724. This is my personal instrument, so it's the one that was stolen some years ago, and
by a druggie, a
drug addict. It was pawned for $50, and I got it back. So
isn't that amazing?
Isn't it wonderful?
How long was it missing?
Just about a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you think you'd ever see it again?
I didn't really have any feelings about it. I truly didn't. It was very, very hard to come to terms with. But yeah.
So how about we play one of these Smiths here, that one perhaps, and play it against yours?
1933.
Yeah.
That's a 1933 A.E Smith.
And this is the 1700s. 17 what?
1724 Matteo Goffriller of Venice.
300 and...
too mathematical me. hard to compare in just some little thing like that, but still,
It's
this one's a
beautiful.
joy to play.